It was the dead of night, 1:47 a.m., on a lonely stretch of Highway 231, in northern Alabama. The road was a ribbon of asphalt, cutting through endless pine forests, with no streetlights to break the darkness, just the faint silver glow of a crescent moon, spilling over the treetops. Tommy Riggins, a 42-year-old truck driver with 15 years of hauling freight under his belt, was behind the wheel of his rig, a weathered blue Peterbilt. He was carrying a load of refrigerator parts from Huntsville to Mobile on ordinary job, on an ordinary night, or so he thought. Tommy was a sturdy man, broad-shouldered, with short brown hair, starting to gray at the temples. His face bore the faint lines of a life spent on the road, long hours, bad coffee, and the hum of tires on pavement. His hazel eyes, though tired, were sharp, always scanning the horizon. The cab of his truck was his kingdom. A thermos of black coffee sat in the Q folder. A faded photo of his wife, Linda, and their teenage daughter, Ellie, was taped to the dashboard, and an old radio crackled with Johnny Cash's low, gravelly voice, singing Folsom Prison Blues. Mounted above the windshield was his dashcam, its tiny green light blinking steadily. Tommy's father, a trucker himself before he passed, had drilled one rule into him. Always have proof, son. The road don't care about your word. That's why the dashcam was always rolling. For hours, the highway had been a ghost town. No cars, no headlights, just Tommy and the endless black ahead. Then, out of nowhere, a pair of headlights flickered in his rearview mirror. At first, he didn't think much of it could be a late-night traveler, another trucker, or some kid racing home. But as the lights grew closer, something felt off. The vehicle sped up, then slowed, lingering behind him like it was sizing him up. Tommy's grip tightened on the steering wheel. He reached over with his left hand and turned the radio down, the music fading into a dull hum. He glanced at the mirror again. Between the headlights, a flash of blue and red lights started pulsing. A cop. Tommy eased off the gas and guided the truck to the right, onto a narrow dirt shoulder bordered by overgrown weeds. He didn't kill the engine, just shifted into neutral and let it idle. The dashcam's green light winked at him, a silent witness. Behind him, the vehicle rolled to a stop, a beat-up, black sedan, the kind that might have been a police cruiser once, but its paint was chipped, and there were no visible markings, no sheriff's logo, no state emblem, just a faded stripe along the side that looked hand-painted. The driver's door creaked open, and a man stepped out. He was tall and wiry, with a frame that suggested he hadn't eaten a proper meal in weeks. He wore a dark blue uniform that resembled a police officer's, but up close, it was all wrong. The stitching was loose. The badge on his chest gleamed too brightly, like a cheap knockoff from a costume shop. A black baseball cap shaded his face, and he carried a heavy-duty flashlight in his right hand. His left hand rested near his hip, where a holster might have been. He approached slowly, boots crunching on the gravel. The flashlight beam cutting through the night, and landing square on Tommy's face. Tommy rolled the window halfway down. "Evening, officer," he said, keeping his tone even and polite. Years on the road had taught him to lead with courtesy. It usually kept things smooth. "Evening," the man replied. His voice was rough, like he'd smoked one too many cigarettes, and there was a nervous edge to it. "License and registration." Now. He swung the flashlight into the cab, sweeping it over the dashboard, the seats, the floor. Tommy's brow furrowed slightly. Something wasn't right. Cops usually started with a reason: speeding, a busted taillight, something. This guy had skipped the script. Still, Tommy played along. "Sure thing," he said. He leaned over to the glove box, moving deliberately so as not to spook the guy, and pulled out his papers. He handed them through the window. The man snatched the documents, but barely glanced at them. The flashlight kept probing the cab, like he was hunting for something specific. "What are you doing out here this late?" he asked, his tone sharp, almost accusing. "Hauling a load," Tommy said, keeping it simple. "Refrigerator parts, Huntsville to Mobile. It's my usual run." "Usual run, huh?" The man's lips twitched into something that wasn't quite a smile, more like a sneer. He stepped closer, the flashlight beam now blinding Tommy. "This road's trouble. You know that. Theft, drugs. Truckers get mixed up in it all the time." A chill ran down Tommy's spine. This wasn't a question, it was a setup. "I'm just doing my job, officer," he said, his voice steady. "Cargo's clean. You're welcome to check it." The man paused, tilting his head as if considering it. Then he lowered the flashlight. letting it dangle by his side. Check it, maybe I will. But first, we got a little business to settle. He pulled a small notepad from his pocket, flipping it open like he was about to write a ticket. But there was no pen in sight, just a prop. There's a toll on this road. Nighttime security fee. $200, cash. Pay up, and you're free to go. Tommy's heart kicked up a notch. A toll, on a state highway. This was no cop, this was a shakedown. He stole a quick glance at the dashcam. It was still recording, capturing every word. The uniform, the badge, the car, they all screamed fake now that he was looking closer. The sedan's grille was rusted. The lights were aftermarket, and that badge looked like it had been glued on. Tommy's mind raced. He was alone, miles from anywhere, with a guy who might be armed, and definitely wasn't legit. One wrong move, and this could go south fast. "Officer," Tommy said, choosing his words like he was stepping through a minefield. "I must have misunderstood. There's no toll I know of. If it's official, you got a receipt or something." The man's face darkened. He raised the flashlight again, blinding Tommy. "You trying to be smart with me?" he snapped, his voice rising. $200, or your truck stays here. Maybe I drag you to the station instead. How's that sound?" Tommy took a slow, deep breath. His gut screamed. This guy's a fraud. But he couldn't confront him, not yet. He needed to stall, keep the guy talking, let the dashcam do its job. "Look," he said, raising his hand slightly, "I don't have that kind of cash on me. I don't carry much in the truck. Can I pay with a card?" The man barked a laugh, but it was brittle, laced with frustration. "A card? What is this, a damn gas station? Cash, driver. Right now. Or, I search this rig, and trust me, I'll find something." Tommy's mind spun into overdrive. This was a trapather, a scam, or something worse. The guy wasn't just bold, he was desperate. Tommy had one ace up his sleeve, the dashcam. If he could keep this going, get more on tape, he'd have enough to bury this clown. He just had to play it cool. "All right," Tommy said, forcing a calm he didn't feel. "I'll get the money. It's in the back, with the cargo. Mind if I step out and grab it?" The man hesitated, eyes narrowing. Then he nodded curtly. "Fine. Move fast. And don't try anything funny, I'll be watching." Tommy opened the door slowly, and climbed down from the cab, his boots hitting the gravel with a soft crunch. The man stepped back, but kept close, his left hand hovering near his hip. Tommy caught a glint of metal, there a gun, maybe, tucked under the fake uniform. His pulse hammered, but he kept his face blank. He walked to the rear of the truck, the man trailing him like a shadow. The night air was thick with the smell of pine and damp earth. At the back, Tommy unlatched the cargo door, and swung it open. The interior was stacked with boxes, the refrigerator parts strapped down tight. He climbed halfway in, pretending to rummage around. "It's in my bag," he muttered, loud enough for the guy to hear. "Gimme a sec. Hurry it up," the man barked, shifting his weight impatiently. The flashlight beam danced over the cargo, then back to Tommy. Tommy's mind was a whirlwind. The dashcam was still running, but it couldn't see back here. He needed to get this guy on tape doing something undeniable, something that'd hold up with the cops. Then it hit him. The emergency toolkit. Tucked under a tarp was a crowbar, not for fighting, but for leverage. He could use it to shift the situation, buy time. "Found it," Tommy said, pulling a duffel bag closer. He unzipped it slowly, making a show of digging through it. "Cash is in here somewhere." He glanced over his shoulder. The man was leaning in, peering into the cargo hold, his guard slipping just a fraction. That's when Tommy saw his chance. He grabbed a loose box light enough to move, heavy enough to matter, and slid it toward the edge. "Watch out," he said casually. "These boxes are stacked tight." The man instinctively stepped forward to steady it, his flashlight dropping to the ground with a thud. In that split second, Tommy shoved the box harder, not enough to hurt, just enough to throw the guy off balance. The man stumbled back, cursing loudly. "What the hell?" Tommy didn't wait. He bolted for the cab, slamming the cargo door shut behind him. The man lunged after him, but Tommy was faster. He yanked the driver's door open, jumped in, and locked it just as the guy's fist pounded against the window. "You're dead, you hear me?" The man roared, his face twisted with rage. Tommy twisted the key, and the engine roared to life. He threw the truck into gear, and peeled out, gravel spraying behind him. In the mirror, He saw the man sprinting for the sedan, headlights flaring as he started it up. Tommy's hands were slick with sweat, but he kept his eyes on the road. The dashcam had it all: the threats, the fake badge, the whole damn scam. He grabbed his phone from the console and dialed 911, his voice steady despite the adrenaline. "Emergency," he said. "I'm on Highway 231, mile marker 142. Some guy just stopped me, pretending to be a cop. Tried to shake me down for cash. It's all on my dashcam. Think he's tailing me now." The operator's voice was calm, professional. "We've got your location, sir. Units are en route. Can you get to a safe spot and wait?" "There's a gas station about 10 miles up," Tommy said, glancing at the mirror. The sedan's lights were back there, faint but closing. "I'm heading there. Stay on the line," the operator said. "We'll have someone meet you." Tommy pushed the truck harder, the speedometer creeping past 60. The sedan was gaining, its fake lights flashing wildly. His mind flashed to Linda and Ellie, how he'd promised to call them when he got to Mobile. He wasn't about to let some lowlife ruin that. 10 minutes later, the glow of a gas station appeared, ahead a rundown Texaco, with flickering neon signs, and a couple of rigs parked out front. Tommy swung into the lot, pulling up near the pumps, and cut the engine. He hit the dashcam's save button, yanking the USB free. The sedan slowed at the edge of the lot, then peeled off down a side road, vanishing into the dark. Tommy leaned back, catching his breath. The phone was still pressed to his ear. "I'm here," he told the operator. "He's gone for now." "Units are 3 minutes out," she replied. "Stay put." 3 minutes stretched like hours. Tommy watched the road, half expecting the sedan to circle back. Then, finally, the real deal showed up: to patrol cars, lights blazing, rolling into the lot. A stocky officer with a buzz cut approached the truck, his partner hanging back by the cruiser. "You Tommy Riggins?" the officer asked, peering up at him. "Yeah," Tommy said, stepping down. He held out the USB. "Everything's on here." The guy's face, his voice, the car, whole thing. The officer, his name tag, read SGT. Daniels took the drive and plugged it into a tablet. As the footage played, his jaw tightened. The fake cop's threats echoed through the tinny speakers. $200, or, "I searched this rig." Daniels shook his head. "Son of a bitch," he muttered. "This is Earl Grayson. Been pulling this stunt for months, impersonating an officer. Hitting truckers and lone drivers. Never had a recording this clean before. You just handed us a slam dunk." Tommy exhaled, relief washing over him. "Glad to hear it. Just wanted to get home in one piece." "You did more than that," Daniel said, clapping him on the shoulder. "This'll put him away for good." The next few days were a blur. Grayson was nabbed 2 counties over, holed up in a trailer with a stash of fake uniforms, badges, and a stolen .38 revolver. The sedan was a junker he'd lifted from a scrapyard and rigged with cheap lights. Tommy's footage aired on the local news. Trucker outsmarts fake cop in daring escape, and spread like wildfire online. By the end of the week, it had racked up 3 million views on YouTube, shared by trucker forums, true crime pages, and random strangers who called Tommy a hero. Back on the road a month later, Tommy was hauling another load, tires this time, Mobile to Birmingham. The dashcam blinked green, as always. He turned up the radio. Johnny Cash crooning Ring of Fire. He glanced at Linda and Ellie's photo, and smiled. "Proof," he murmured to himself. Dad was right.